Uh, I am excited and thrilled about our guest speaker today. And as soon as Michelle gives me the okay, I'm going to start with his bio. I'm going to talk a little bit about my own personal experience with Dr. Hapi, and then I'm going to let the man of the hour have the seat at the podium and talk to us. You know, um, Michelle, are you ready? Or she said she was going to be on mute. Got it. Okay.
Not just yet, Doctor. Almost.
Not just yet. Okay, almost.
Okay, take your time.
Yep. Because this information is so important. We definitely want to have a recording of it so that it is part of our library of offerings.
Okay.
For sure. Because this is the deal.
Dr. Blessman, I'm so glad that we have Dr. Hapi on the show this evening. We have definitely been looking forward to having him. Our guests are coming in. We are coming in. But we only have Dr. Hapi for just a little while. So I'm not going to belabor this conversation. If you could go ahead and introduce the man of this hour and a half.
There you go. So, Dr. Hapi, first of all, we've all had a chance to hear about the 4 laws regarding health. That was the initial presentation by Dr. Tates. So, and in that, we've reviewed that a couple of times, but in that we've talked about the importance of breathing. And, breathing was stressed in as part of that presentation. Well, tonight we're going to go in depth. And when I say in depth, I mean, we're talking breathing taken to a whole nother level. There are several books out there about breathing, whether you want to read Andrew Weil's book, the Oxygen Solution, or I think there's one, the latest one is like Karen Nestor, The Lost Science and Art of Breathing. All of those are, I'm not even going to say that those are good foundational books. All I'm going to say is those are preschool. We're getting ready for it. Hold on to your hats and put on your thinking caps because we're getting ready to go into the PhD of breathing and what that's like. For those of you who are in Chicago, you're going to be lucky because you have an opportunity to have a hands-on, this is a hands-on practice. You can't teach this over Zoom. And I know that because I am one of Dr. Hapi's clients. And it is, I have to see him on a regular basis to up the ante when it comes to the way that I breathe. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Asar Hapi. He developed a methodology to optimize the physical ability of athletes while maximizing their performance and extending the quality and longevity of their professional careers. These methods include 2 phases of development. The therapy was provided to top professional athletes using a proprietary system designed to create cardiovascular proficiency that enhances optimal performance and energy. And I can go through a whole long list of his credentials. He's got a PhD from National College of Naturopathy. He did an internship in acupuncture and pain management. He's been at the Oriental Institute of Holistic Medicine. He has applied physiology degree, a needleless acupuncture, International Institute of Applied Physiology, a doctorate of chiropractic practice, all of that, okay? But his personal health concerns, which encompassed proposed surgery, prompted Dr. Hapi to find a better way for his own well-being. And I'm sure he's gonna, through the course of this evening, he's gonna tell us a little bit about his own personal journey as well. So he has, taken the best of, sort of Eastern approaches to breathing, and all of that, and has traveled internationally and has, through Mexico, Egypt, India, and South America. Since 1978, Dr. Hapi has developed and taught Egyptian yoga. This unique body of knowledge serves as a personal and powerful adjunct to all the services he provides. Kemetic yoga, and that's trademarked, an ancient Egyptian system of yoga enlightenment based upon the practices of physical movements combined with controlled deep breathing and meditation. Okay, my husband, I took my husband, my husband and I have had COVID back in December. And one of the things I noticed was that my husband, the lethargy and fatigue had increased. And, I was concerned about his energy, verve, and vitality. So we have started with Dr. Hapi with the breathing exercises. And I can tell you, even within the first week of starting the exercises, I could tell a difference in my body and the way that in my own energy level, vivaciousness, vitality, it was just that quick for me. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be that way for everybody, but it was that way for me. One of the things that I hope he gets into a lot is the work that he's done with seniors and the way that he has used, because it's one thing to talk about using this system with fairly healthy people or with athletes, but it's a whole nother thing to talk about what this might mean for seniors. And I'm I just wish that we had been on this kick for seniors at the very start of COVID, because we might have seen some very different outcomes for seniors, because it's all about enhancing the respiratory abilities and the cardiovascular systems. And that was the one thing that COVID struck first. And it doesn't take a whole long time. If we had done this for the first 6 months of COVID, it might have been a whole different story. But anyway, I hope I've given you enough of excited you, titillated you, gave you a sense of, oh yeah, you want to hear what he's got to say. Welcome to the floor, Dr. Hapi. Take it over, brother.
Well, I have to give you they talk about it when someone go to the restaurant and the waitress took care of them so well, they didn't just give her a tip, they gave her a bonus tip. I want to give you a bonus tip for that, for that introduction.
You're welcome. It's well deserved.
Thank you. My experience took me into looking at how do we become healthy. And my personal experience is that I contracted an incurable disease when I was 20 years old. And this particular disease is called sarcoidosis. Some of you all may have heard of it. Some of you all may have not. But it's primarily a disease that affects African Americans, and it's incurable. They say there is no medicine that can heal you. You will die between 30 and 50 years old, guaranteed. Now, I know you all knew of this one comedian. His name was Bernie Mac. He's a very successful comedian. He died here in Chicago at Northwestern Hospital from 2 different pneumonias. And he also got MRSA while he was there. Now, if any of you all know about MRSA, it's a microbe that shows up in the hospital, and it can get into your body, and it can cause all kind of inflammatory problems and infection with your body. So anyway, at this point, I could not breathe. So if you asked me to inhale, my sound was like this. I could not do this. I couldn't do that. I had lost the ability to inhale. And so the doctor, he said, I have good news and bad news for you. I said, well, give me the good news first. He said, the good news is you won't be dying tomorrow.
Oh, my Lord. What?
He said the
but the next day.
He said the bad news, you will be dying between the next 10 and 30 years. And you have an incurable disease, and there is no medication to cure it. He said, all we have is a medication called prednisone, and we can put you on that to relieve some of the symptoms of the inflammation. He says your lungs will become so painful you will want to cry when you have to inhale. And so that inspired me to step into a journey. And the journey was, I need to learn how to breathe. But more than that, I need to get control of this disease because I don't want to be dying too early. I always saw myself getting gray hairs, being an old man sitting next to a pond somewhere with a fishing pole, talking fish stories. And I couldn't see that. I said, this won't fit my ideal future of my thoughts of what I want to do as an old man. I said, so I need to learn about what do it take for me to heal myself and get my breathing back. So I went through my resources. I said, well, who do I know that's kind of into health? And I had some friends that were vegetarians. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I was a smoker. I smoked cool cigarettes. Now, the cool cigarettes did taste refreshing. I do want to tell you that. And I do want to tell you, I still embrace and enhance myself with some stimulants that give me that kind of refreshing inhale. And it is called peppermint oil. You put the peppermint oil on right up under your nose, and after a few minutes, it allows you to vasodilate and breathe a little deeper. And that's what they put in the cool cigarettes and the Newports, all the menthol cigarettes. They put menthol in there, and that allows the cigarettes to make the lungs feel so good while it's killing the lungs. So anyway, I went and met with my friends, and they said, you need to learn yoga. I said, I need to deal with some yogurt. They say, no, not yogurt that you eat. It's called yoga. It's a form of exercise that you do these postures, and they allow you to kind of like become flexible, and then you learn balance and you learn strength. And I said, okay, I didn't know about the yoga. They say, well, you need to go and study with this teacher. So the sister was about 55 years old, and she taught at Lawson Y over on Division, over around Lincoln Park, Division and Dearborn. So I went over there and I got into a class, and she was 55. She was moving smoothly through the forms. She tried to have me standing on my head, and I was falling off my head and everything. I said, what do this have to do with the breathing? She said, when you can breathe upside down on your head, you won't have no heart problems. I said, how do I get back into that posture again? And so I was trying to do the postures. Well, I did learn how to stand on my head. I did, without falling out of the form. And she said, all this is in the breath. It's in the breath. These are breath secrets. And so then after a period of time, I was going to a class. She said, you need to meet my teacher. Well, I say, who is this? She says, he's a Swami. I say, what's a Swami? She said, Swami means teacher, and he became a Swami when he was 13 years old. He was so advanced that they made him a Swami of the Ganges River. Now, if you all know anything about India, the Ganges River is supposed to be a healing river that you go in to heal yourself, drink the water and everything. So this same teacher, by 16 and 17, he was getting PhDs at Oxford and Cambridge. He was so smart. Wow. So anyway, he was in Glenview. I had to go all the way out to Glenview to study with him. And so when I went out, there was not too many African Americans out there. It was only a few. And this one year he had a convention. He had a conference down at the Palmer House. And he invited all his Swami friends. So he invited about 7 of the baddest Swamis you ever wanted to meet. Now, it was 5,000 people that came to this event. 5,000 people.
That's a lot.
It was only 3 Black people, myself, my teacher, and 1 other. Everybody else was European from Glenview and from other suburbs. They had told from Chicago, they told all these white people. They showed up. He showed up with his friends, Swami friends. One of them was 89. He had the physical of a 25-year-old. Another one, he was about 69, but he had a control of the breath where he could take a bicycle chain, you know, the kind that you wrap around the bike lock, and or you wrap it around your tires of your bike, and it prevents the bike from being stolen. A bike chain cable, a cable.
Okay.
He put it around his waist and flexed his breath and broke the bike cable.
Oh my God.
Then he took an elephant rope. They put an elephant rope around his neck, and he pushed his chin into the elephant rope and cut the elephant rope. He took his fingers and he took a leaf, and he took his fingers like he was going to chop the leaf in half, and the leaf split in half, and the leaf jumped on both sides of his fingers.
Mm.
There was a doctor in the audience. He had the doctor to come on stage, and he did a technique with his breath, and he asked the doctor. Now, this particular Swami was just 107 pounds. He only weighed 100. He weighed 7 pounds more than 100.
Okay.
He told
Slight guy.
he was a slim guy.
Lightweight, featherweight.
Lightweight, heavyweight with the breath. He asked the doctor, he says, touch my stomach, feel my stomach. He said, hit me in the stomach. The doctor, who was overweight with glasses, hit him in the stomach. He told the doctor, because he had broken English, right? He was Indian. He said, like granite, like granite, like granite. So
he broke his hand, huh?
He almost broke his hand, the poor doctor. So anyway, these were just 2 of the 7 Swamis that he brought to America. He said, our bodies are supposed to become like superhuman. And so that was my encouragement. I said, if they can do that, I have a great chance to be able to heal myself and get my breath back. So I became a serious student of that Swami. I was going out to Glenview all the time. And so over a period of time, I developed. Well, I became a master. If you go to African-based yoga on YouTube, African-based yoga, you will see a 14-minute clip of me running some super advanced forms. African-based yoga. It starts out with the science of regeneration. If you just go there, you will see some forms you would not believe. You will say, that Dr. Happy, I can't do this. Well, you might not be able to do that. But that's not where we want to start. We want to start with what you can do to get your breath healthy and get your body more healthy and vital, like I had to do. So anyway, I went on from there, and I said, I need to know more about this breath. And that's how I got into school. And by getting into school, I had to learn about physiology, and I had to learn about neuropathy and pathology and all of these sciences that gave me a greater understanding of health. In the process, I had started teaching yoga to the community. My greatest joy was teaching yoga to the seniors in 1995 on the north side in the Cabrini Green area. I had my first seniors where I was teaching them yoga in chairs. They were sitting in chairs doing the breathing. And so I had a friend. I had a person who I was working for, because I used to work for the telephone company, and I went over to his house because he had a great big stomach, and he had medication in his medicine cabinet. And I told him, I said, I would like to help you get healthier. So he says, well, what do you know? I said, I know about this yoga, and I can show you in your living room how you can get healthier. So he said, well, let me see. So I put on my yoga clothes and gave him a demonstration. It was so advanced. He said, you should come on my TV show. I said, I didn't come over here to come on your TV show. I came over here to inspire you to learn this breathing and the yoga so you could get healthy and your stomach can go down and you could get your digestion system back up and not take the medication. He said, but I can't do that yoga that you did, no way. I said, well, I said, if I work with some seniors and show you what I could do with seniors in 6 months, would you be willing to learn yoga? He said, maybe. 6 months later, he said, maybe. 6 months later, my seniors, I say, I'm ready to go on your TV show. I went on his TV show with my seniors, and they were doing very it was intermediate yoga. They were doing some nice yoga forms on the floor. It impressed him so well, he started learning the yoga. He was 38. He's in his 80s now. He is one of the most healthiest persons you could ever want to meet. He has a 25-year-old body. All the breathing that I showed you, Dr. Jones, he could do that and more. He has a physical in his 80s better than any 25-year-old I even know, and better than any athlete I have ever worked with. So anyway,
wow, that's fat. That's unreal.
It's unreal. If you was to meet him, you would say, Dr. Hapi, you think I could learn this breathing after you saw what he could do? So what you saw, what you will see on the African-based yoga, he can do the majority of all of that you see on there. He's in his 80s. He practiced every day at 5 o'clock in the morning. So that was my long story. My long story is by the time I was 28, I was a grand master in yoga. And I went on to teach, and I created masters. And my first master that I went on to teach, I told him, I certified him, I told him, it is now necessary for you to take this around the world and teach this to people around the world. Well, now we have 8,000 teachers in the Kemetic yoga system that he certified. Okay, so now getting back to what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the power within. Now, I want you all to write this down. The power within is what we're going to talk about. This power is the breath. It's the breath. Now, I want you to hold on to that thought for 1 minute, and then we're going to go into it.
Okay. Everybody got their paper and pencil? You're going to need it to take notes.
Got it.
Okay. Whew. The power is the breath. That is so true. Inside of a week, like I used to like use my hands to try to get up. I don't have to use my hands because I can just use the breath to energize me to just get up out of bed. Okay. Anyway, I was giving some folks in the.
No, keep going, Doc. Keep going, because you're doing fine. You are doing so fine in this. Wait till we go into the part that we start working on the physical with the breath directly. Doc, you are going to be a serious demonstrator of what we're talking about.
Okay. I was, right. Yeah, I don't want to take away from your time. Go ahead. Go for it.
Okay. All right. So let me go into what we're going to be talking about now. Let me go into what we're going to be talking about. All right. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to be talking about is we're going to talk about the breath. All right. Okay. Now the first thing we're going to say is that the breath is seen as a force, and this force affects the body. The breath has 3 levels to it. The levels are inhalation, exhalation, and holding the breath. Now, these three levels are used when we work with the breath. Three levels are used, and we use those levels over and over. So I want everyone to take a breath, to take an inhalation. I want everyone to take an inhalation.
Okay. Like a deep one, like
a deep breath, like a deep breath. I want everyone to take a deep breath. And I want you to take this breath down in the diaphragm. Now, I want to hear your breath. I want to hear everybody's breath. Let me hear how your breath sounds. Okay? And everybody breathes for me and let me hear the breath sound. Can everybody inhale? Can I hear it? Okay. Now, I want you to look at how long can you breathe? How long can you breathe that breath? And then I want you to exhale.
through our mouth or through our nose.
I want you to exhale through your mouth. And then I want you to, how long can you hold the breath? Okay, now I want everybody to hear my inhalation. Let me know if you hear it. Can you hear me?
Yes, I heard that.
Okay, here's my inhalation.
Wow.
Did you all hear that breath?
That's a
Wow.
Now, was that a little long breath or a lot of long breath?
A lot of long
breath.
breath.
a lot of
Lot of
long.
long.
You would have
Now-
been a great sax player.
Do you know my clients who are sax players? We teach them that breath so that they can play longer.
I can believe it. Okay.
Now, when you compare it to your own breath, now I was the
Yeah.
one who couldn't breathe. Now, how would you compare it to your own breath? Would you say you was able to breathe 1/10 of that, 1/4 of that, 1/2 of that, 3/4 of that?
Maybe 1/100th.
That's all we need is to have a little breath to start. Okay. Now, the holding of the breath is what we work on. We work on the holding of the breath also, so that in the holding of the breath, we build more of what we call the electrical alternating power of the generator. We call the breath a wind generator of life.
Mm.
Now, there will be, because we're going to have 3 sessions, this is one of the 3. There will be points in which we're going to go into Egypt. We're going to go into Kemet, and we're going to give you evidence how deep they were into the breath.
Mm.
Would that be
Okay.
kind of exciting? Would that be kind of exciting? We kind of reveal
Absolutely.
mystic knowledge of the ancestors and how all of them walked with the secret of the breath. And in them having big breath, they would always show themselves having falcon wings as a symbol of how big their breath was.
Mm.
That's why they would show the women with wings that were so big in some of the pictures that you would see.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
second thing we look at is we look at the 4 levels of breath. The breath is supposed to have depth, length, speed, and strength. And when the COVID came, those seniors whose breath was not strong, it didn't have strength, it had no depth and no length, and it had no speed, those were the ones who died.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
being put on the ventilator, it did not bring the strength back to the breath. It brought no depth, and the COVID attacked the lungs deeply within and built congestion and drowned the person where they couldn't breathe. They suffocated their breath out. The third thing is that breath is what created the power of animation for the baby. So we say the baby, that the baby does something every day. Now, have you ever seen a baby just come out of the mother's womb and stand up and start walking? Have you all seen any babies like that lately? That they just came out the mother's womb and they just got up and started walking and running around. Have you all seen any of that lately?
No, not
Have
even.
you ever seen that?
No.
No, I have not. So what that baby does, that baby comes out and the baby starts to build electrical force through their breathing. The breathing is your first alkalizing. It is the first alkalizing activity that you do. You all have heard of alkaline water, have you not?
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
alkaline water is a water that has a certain pH. So for us to be healthy, we have to have a pH of 7.0 to really be healthy. And the breath is the first thing that creates that pH of a 7.0. Now, there is something called acid alkaline, and acid alkaline is a degree of range from 1 to 14. And the 7 is right in the middle. So if when we're starting to run into health problems, if we get our pH checked in our urine, we'll see that the pH is very low, which means our body is very acidic. And when we're acidic, we're losing the power of the breath. We're losing the electrical force. When a person get a cold, they're losing the electrical force. When a person gets sick, they're losing the electrical force. So breath is the only way to get that electrical force back. So when the baby is born, the baby starts one thing every day, and that's crying. And when the baby cries, the baby is creating that electrical force. That electrical force starts to build every day, and we start seeing the effect of it by that baby getting stronger. How do we know? When the baby is getting stronger with the electrical force, after a couple of months, we can see the baby being able to flip over. A few more months of the baby crying every day, we see the baby being able to crawl. And then by the time the baby is 8 months to a year, the baby pulls himself up on their mother's leg, father leg, table leg, and is able to start walking. Now, that is the breath that that baby is cultivating. And that breath being an electrical force starts to send the power in first to help the organs get stronger. The first thing the baby is able to do, the baby is able to separate the milk and turn it into a liquid and a solid. And we see the baby have an elimination because that's the baby's electrical force that is affecting and creating mechanical power in the digestion system, the elimination and the assimilation system. We also see that milk is a 7.0, so it's right in the middle of acid and alkalinity. And this is what the baby is drinking, 7.0. This is the same thing that carrot juice produces, 7.0 alkalinity. So carrot juice would be the next thing after milk that we should be drinking after water, after alkaline water. Now the water, when a baby drinks it, they call it nursery water. It has a 7.0 also. But as we get older, we need a water that's going to help get rid of the acids that we take into our bodies when we eat a lot of acidic foods. And those acidic foods weaken our breath. They weaken the electrical force, which cause our bodies to start getting sick, or what we call ailing. The body is ailing. So now we say breath or breathing is the first alkalizer that affects homeostasis. Homeostasis means that you are right in the middle. You are in the middle of two systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And those systems, they are what wake you up in the morning, put you to sleep at night, and help your body to work well, to help your body to work better. So the breath is your first alkalizer. There are three alkalizers that we have to consider if we want to be healthy. Breath is the first, water is the second, and food is the third alkalizer if we're eating alkalizing foods. Those three can help us to get healthier and be even healthier. And as we move through time, have a very healthy, long life. Now, there are four elements that affect our breath. These elements are air, fire, water, and earth. So what we eat determines the balance of those four elements. If we eat too much food that is too acidic, like dairy, like cheese, and like ice cream, like sugar, like pastries.
Oh, come
All
on.
this shit.
All my
I'm
good
just
stuff.
saying, I'm not talking about nobody on here. I know nobody eating that on here.
All of that.
But anyway, we're gonna work with you. Here's the good news.
Dr. Hapi, you just stepped on all of my toes.
But here's the
Okay, every
but
single
we got
one of them, right?
but
I
we
probably
got
had
good
all
news
that
for you.
today.
But we got good news for you. Do you all want to know the good news? Like the doctor, he gave me good news. He said you won't die tomorrow. Do you all want good news?
Yeah.
I want better news than I'm not gonna die tomorrow. I want better news than that.
So we got
Come
good
on
news
now.
for you. We're gonna be telling you about certain foods that do have dairy, but it's healthier dairy, and it won't take your breath away. Would that be all
Okay.
right that you eat your ice cream and keep your breath too?
Healthier.
Would that be all
Okay.
right?
That'll work. That will work.
And then with that, we'll deal with moderation. So we're not gonna. It's not all bad news. I eat very well. I have some great tastes coming through the body, but I keep my breath strong. I drink the alkaline water. I do the breathing every day. Well, how many breaths do I do? Well,
Ooh.
I only do about 6,000 to 10,000, but we don't start you there.
Right.
You don't start there. You're only going to start with about 10 breaths. Can we do 10 breaths together as a group? Can we do 10 breaths?
Yes, let's do that.
Yes,
Yes,
we can.
we
All
can.
right. All right. Now, breathing also affects the mind, which affects the body.
Yes.
Thoughts and emotions affects our breath, which affects every cell in our body. Breath creates movement. It creates circulation. So when we get upset, you ever heard them say, take 10 long breaths? You ever heard them say that? Take 10 long, slow breaths, or take 3 long, slow. You heard that, right?
I've prescribed that. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Jones. We need you to keep prescribing, because the emotions, when you get upset, if you get angry, people don't know that angry starts to break down the liver.
Mm-hmm.
Grief starts to break down the pancreas. Sorrow starts to break down the spleen, and you lose energy.
Oh, can you say those again?
I said that anger
Anger,
breaks down the liver.
liver. Okay.
Grief breaks down the pancreas.
Pancreas.
Sorrow breaks down the
The
spleen.
spleen. Okay.
And
So, Dr. Happy, is that scientific or is that metaphysical?
it's metaphysical.
Thank you.
But grief also breaks down the heart. So let me tell you all. Let me give you all a case. Let me give you all a case. So there was this actress once. Her name was Amy Fisher. Her mother was a famous actress named Debbie Reynolds. Amy Fisher was the one who played on Star Wars. When she died, her mother took it so bad that she died in 48 hours. Now they call this, they have a diagnosis for it now. It's called broken heart syndrome. What's so interesting about that is that when my uncle died, my auntie, before we finished the funeral, my auntie had died from the grief of losing my uncle. So there's a technology that I created, and this technology allows you to think about your grief from losing someone. And when you think about it, this grief is going to blow all the power out of your body. Your legs will be as weak as a wet noodle. So what it's doing is shutting down your systems from those emotions. So what we do is we do a breathing that affects the mind to affect the body, to help the body to restore the power. Then when we teach meditation, that's going to be one of the sessions that we're going to go through with you all within these next 3 months. We'll take you through that and let you just feel how much better you can feel just controlling your breath while you were thinking about certain things. Now, the breathing exercises that we have, these breathing exercises, they are called diaphragmatic breathing, pranayama breathing, which is sympathetic stimulation of the electrical force, and nali breathing, which is a breathing where you're holding your breath. Now, these three breaths are very instrumental in helping your body to become more vital. And what I did, I created a system. I created a system in the yoga to help people do this. And I created another system if you become a client of mine. You have to learn these breathings to build your electrical force like the baby did. And what we see with the baby is that by the time they're 2 years old, they call them the turbo 2 or 3 because they have all this energy that they've acquired from doing this crying every day. They're climbing on stuff, and then by the time they get 3 and 4, they're rolling around trying to stand on their head. And what we see is we see an athlete forming, an athlete developing. So now if we fast forward that's a Simone Biles. Y'all remember her, the Olympic athlete? Y'all remember her?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do she move with some serious breath? Is she unbelievable or what?
Yeah, she's
Right.
bad. Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
her breath that she cultivated to give her the gymnastic power. And you know what they say about us, that we're going to have some superpower. So does she show up like a super athlete? Yes. When we see the same thing with a Michael Jordan, they call him Air Jordan. When he take up off the ground and be like fly, like Superman, that's the breath. When we see a Stephen Curry and a LeBron James and they play 4 quarters and they got to play overtime and they go into overdrive, that's the breath. But how long did it take them to get that? How long did they start working on that? They started playing with the ball when they were teenagers, when they were young, playing bitty ball, maybe at 8, 9, 10 years old. We don't have to do all that, but we have to learn this breathing. And if you become a client of mine, we fast start you. We take you deep into the breath system and get you connected into the power of the baby with some quickness so that you can get a 25-year-old physical quicker than you can say, I'm back to my vital. I'm back. How we put it, I'm fine one more time. Fine with the power. This is what one of my clients would tell me. She said, Doc, I'm ready to get fine one more time. I say, well, you know how we got to do it. She say, I'm on it. I'm on the breath. I'll see you every week. Don't be missing an action. That's what she and it restored her. She's in her 80s now.
Wow.
So anyway, we
Dr.
say the
Hapi,
next, Yes.
I hate to stop your flow, but you gave us 3 different types of breathing, was it?
Yes, that was the inhalation, the exhalation, and the holding of breath.
Okay.
The inspiration, the expiration, and the holding breath.
It was some other words that you
I think she's referring to when you mentioned diaphragm.
She's
Diaphragmatic.
talking about the 3 breaths there. That's the
Right.
one breath was called the pranayama breathing. Pranayama. Prana is the word for electrical or energy force. The Indians call it prana. The Chinese call it chi.
Okay.
So they call it pranayama breathing. This is the sympathetic stimulation of the electrical force that we do when you become a client of mine, and we do it when you're doing the breathing also. When you're doing the breathing,
Okay.
we start you into those patterns of breathing. And then there was diaphragmic breathing, which was inhalation and exhalation. In the diaphragmic breathing, you learn how to breathe deep. You have to learn how to breathe deep because that's where the COVID comes. The pneumonia and the flu, they come deep into the lungs. And if you don't know how to breathe deep, you won't even be able to tell when they're trying to come and get you. But if you got the diaphragmic breathing, you'll cough. It'll cause you to cough and cause you to clear the lungs so the microbes can't come and get you. So they won't be able to come and get you. And then we spoke of Nali breathing, that's holding a breath. And in that breath, you learn how to take total control of your diaphragm, and you learn how to create a cobra's hood. You know how you ever seen a cobra snake where they're in their digestive system, it becomes flat and hollow, a cobra, when they stand up to strike you. And in that breath, they could crush a rat. They could crush the bones because their breath is so strong. In fact, I have a demonstration of it. If you share the screen with me, Doc, I have a demonstration of it.
yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Happy, you
Like
can
this.
let me make sure that you can. Yeah, you can share the screen.
Okay, let me
Share
show
content.
you. I'm gonna show you that. Let you see that, if I may. Okay, we're gonna share. I'm gonna hit share screen.
Share content.
Okay, let me see share. Let's see if I can see that. Choose what to share. Okay, I'm gonna choose what to share. Okay.
In their natural settings, the rhythm of the breath is the objective in order to achieve a relaxed and restored nervous system. Proper breathing is essential to mastery over yoga forms and the vitality of life. Breath from the diaphragm is very important in activating the hood of the cobra. This technique, called the flame of Ra, or the Nali in the Indian system, massages the internal organs and is a powerful aid in digestion. quiet breath. Lie.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's what I said when I first saw it too. That's like, what? Oh. But I tell you, just even from the first, just in the beginning phases of learning the breathing technique, you know, I mean, I can feel my digestive system changing just from, and I'm not even doing anything close to what he just did, but it does affect the internal organs, particularly the digestive organs. Poops have become better. So, you know, something's happening. Are you still there, Doc? Ah, here he comes. Yeah.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna give it back to you. Let me
Okay.
see if I can give it back. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you now.
Can hear you.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So remember, I was trained by the Swamis,
Mhm.
and this is what they could do. The Swamis had superhuman bodies,
Mhm.
and they trained me well. They trained me with all the secrets. And
Okay.
then I went to school to become a doctor, and I learned more secrets on how we could help the body become more vital. And I created a system. And this system we applied to the elders.
Mhm.
My 88-year-olds can outbreathe any personal trainer I've ever stepped to. My 88, in fact, we have Delana on the Zoom, and she's one of my students, and her nephew, who's 40 years old, he was a personal trainer. And he said, Auntie, you don't need to go and get with that doctor with this breathing. You just need to get with me.
Mhm.
I said, did he say that, Delana? I said, I'll tell you what. I want you to invite your family and all your friends over to your house for some refreshments. Tell the personal trainer, your nephew, to come with them. And I'm going to bring my 88-year-old with me.
Mhm.
I brought my 88-year-old,
Mm.
and she's been in the system for a minute. For a
Mhm.
minute, she's been in it. And so she runs 3,000 breaths. Remember, I said there's 4 levels. There's length, strength, speed, and depth. She can go so fast with the breathing, breathe so deep, so strong, and breathe so long. And so she said, how many breaths are we going to do, Dr. Happy? Are we going to do 3,000? I said, no, we won't do 3,000. I said, we'll only do 800. She said, that's all? She said, okay. So I had Delana's nephew get on the table first. I had him do 40 breaths. I usually, Dr. Jones, I have those who supposed to really know about the breath and fitness to do more. So
Mhm.
I have
Okay.
athletes and those who are personal trainers to do 40 or 50 breaths instead of 20 or 30, like I start my elders, my seniors at 20. He did 40 breaths. His leg went down like a wet noodle, like he lost the strength in his leg. He said, what happened? I said,
Mm.
you have just now been introduced to the electrical force and you just lost it and you lost your power. I
Mm.
said, can we put our 88-year-old on the table and show you what it looks like when you are rolling, when you're moving with the force? He said, what is she going to do? She's 88. I don't want to embarrass her. I say, don't worry, brother. I say, don't worry. I say, let's see what she can do. She got on the table. I said, are you ready? She said, are we doing the 800? I say, yes, we'll just only do 800, not 3,000. She said, okay, let's go. We started the breathing, and she was going so fast with me that Delana's nieces said, she's not 88. She's not 80. I want to see her ID card. I don't believe it. So we were going so fast and we were counting so in tune. We were synced so well that when we hit 800, at the same time we stopped.
Mm.
but her leg did not go down. She did not lose any physical strength in her legs.
Mhm.
By this time, Delana's nephew was quite embarrassed. He
Mm.
came up to Delana. He said, I'm sorry, Auntie, for misjudging this Dr. Happy that you're working with. That was a couple years ago. Now he has come to Delana and he said, Auntie, you know that breathing that you do? Can you teach me? This is what happened. He apologized to me. He said, Dr. Happy, if I had only known that you was dealing with a power that I had never even heard about or seen, I would have never told my auntie not to come and get with you.
Mhm.
So anyway,
He must not have read all
that
your
is,
credentials.
no,
I
I
mean,
didn't
you
tell him
have.
all the credentials. I didn't tell him all the credentials. I didn't want to go there, Dr. Jones. I didn't want to tell him I got 3 PhDs. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to tell him I'm a grand master of the yoga science and I've been taught by Superman how to get the breath superpower. I didn't want to go there.
Or that you work with world-class athletes.
I didn't want to tell him I work with Richard Dent and Jerry Rice and help these athletes win Super Bowls. I didn't want to go there to tell him I didn't work with athletes and help them win Super Bowls. I didn't want to go there.
Mhm.
So anyway, that was the holding breath. That's what the holding breath can do.
Mm.
Now, let us go further in our discussion. Okay, so now that was the holding breath and the pranayama and the diaphragmic breathing, inhalation and exhalation. I'm gonna get ready to show that. And the pranayamic breathing, it's a faster breathing. We call it the fire breath. It's a faster breathing. Now,
Excuse me,
in the
question.
yes,
I'm sorry. Can you please spell prana?
pranayama.
Yes, is
Yes,
this
it's prana first. P-R like river, A like apple, N like natural, A like apple, Yama, Y-A-M-A, pranayama.
it popped up? Okay.
Dr.
Oh, good.
Dr. Cato,
Pranayama
it's in the
breathing.
chat.
Pranayama breathing. I'm gonna
Okay,
send this.
thank you.
I'm gonna send this whole presentation to Dr. Jones, so she'll have a copy of it. She'll be able to share it with you all.
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. So now the next thing we have to talk about is the physical mechanic action, the physical mechanical action of exercising. Now, when you all were younger, how many of you all jump rope?
I
Single
did.
Dutch,
Double Dutch.
double Dutch. How many of you all jump rope? Now, when you jumped rope,
The rite of passage.
that was a rite of passage because when you jump rope, there was some joy in there. Once you, especially if you learn how to jump double Dutch, you would jump into the middle rope and if you get your groove on, and now you've seen some of these young daughters be jumping rope. They be doing all kind of patting the ground and patting their leg and slapping their chest and hitting themselves on the head, stomach, rolling in their head while rolling their stomach. They be doing all kind of stuff. But back then, you all jumped the rope, and when you got in it, you were in it long as the rope was untangled. That's when your breath was working the best because you were breathing while you were doing it without even thinking about it. So if I ask you, when the last time you all did double Dutch?
It's been a minute for me.
How about single Dutch? How about jumping one jump at a time every other minute? So that was stimulating your breath without thinking about it. That's what exercising was doing. And so we say that if you're not jumping the rope, you're not stimulating the breath, but do we need to stimulate the breath? Yes. The COVID has showed us we need to stimulate the breath. We need to get deep into the lungs so that we can stay vital. So in this presentation I'm going to be doing with you all, I'm going to take you all into diaphragmic breathing. I'm going to take you all into some pranayama. And you all have to lay on the floor when you do it, or lay in the bed when you do it. Would that be all right? You
Oh,
have
yeah.
a computer where you could be close to the computer. You lay in the bed and we go through a little of that so you can start just feeling this breath, getting control of it. Because when you were 12, you had control of it without thinking about it. And we're saying as we lose control of the breath, we're losing control of the electrical force, which is allowing our bodies to develop these symptoms and allow us to start having health problems that we don't have to have.
Mm.
So we're going to save that for next session. I want you all to have your portable computers next to your bed, and then everybody get in their bed, get all cozy or on the floor, and we do some diaphragmatic breathing. Would that be okay with you all?
Yes, Dr. Hapi, I
That'd
would
be all
love to
right?
do that. Yes, I have an iPad, tablet, 2 phones. I can get in the bed and breathe. Dr. Hapi, this is such a great discussion. I've learned so much, and I want to be able to open up the floor to our community to ask questions, because we're going to honor your time and end our programming at 8:30. So we want to be able to get some questions in there if you don't mind.
Okay, all right. So let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, so we want to get some questions. Okay. So now who want to ask some questions? Anybody want to ask some questions?
I haven't looked in the chat. Dr. Blessman, do you see any questions in the chat?
There's only a few. I think Ms. McNair asked, was it when you were talking about the 40 breaths versus the 800 breath, whatever, was that 40 breaths per minute? Or how?
No. We don't look at this like a minute. We look at it as 40 breaths. How quick can you breathe them?
Can you do a demonstration? Because I
Okay.
think you did the 3 speeds for me that I taped.
Okay, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it 3 speeds. I'm gonna do 4 speed. I'm gonna do 3 speeds. So when you first start with me as a client, you start with the first speed. There are actually 4 speeds.
Mhm.
And when you see somebody doing the 40-yard dash, they're doing that 4 speed, the 4th speed. The fastest runners do the 4 speed. Your runners who are running the 200-yard dash, they're doing the 4 speed. Your best runners, like Jerry Rice, your football players who are the receivers, they're running 4 speed. So here's 1 speed. You inhale, you exhale, and 1 speed is like this. 2 speeds is like this. 3 speeds is like this. 4 speeds is like this. So that's 4 speeds. Now, when you start as a client, we're seeing where your speed is, because people have never been taken into the 4 levels of breath. So they don't even know where their speed is. And most of them have lost the 4th speed, the 3rd speed, and the 2nd speed. And these are the speeds that the 12-year-old who's doing the double dutch, she's running 4 speeds without even thinking about it. So there's just a little bit. I have about 2 more minutes that I wanted to finish up. Can I do that?
Yes.
If there was not too many questions.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so we talked about the breath being the physical mechanical action and exercise. So in yoga and Tai Chi, one is working on, through their breathing, they're working on the strength, the flexibility, and the balance. And those are the three elements we lose as our breathing become weaker. We, instead of becoming strong, we become weaker. Instead of being flexible, we become stiffer. We start getting arthritis and everything, and we start losing our balance. And that's the elders are falling because they're losing the control of the breath. Those elders that I worked with that was in their 80s and what have you, we started them in Tai Chi classes and yoga classes and Qigong classes, and now they move much easier, much better. And then the last two things I want to talk about is that breath action. When we laugh, we create mechanical and electrical force when we laugh with breath. It affects breath action. And so what it does when we're laughing, it creates electrical generation of force, which helps our bodies to work better because we're creating electrical force. So try to laugh as much as you can. Try to look at something funny.
The deep belly laughs, right?
The
Because when
deep
you're
belly
going,
laughs where you got to hold your belly. Whoever's making you laugh, you got to tell them, stop right now. You're hurting my stomach.
that's good for you,
Because
right?
that's going to build the electrical force and help
Power.
your body to stay well. And they have documented that. Dr. Cousin did a book about that with people with cancer, how it would help the people with cancer because it was generating electrical force to help them heal up. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was breath cleansing. And this we use a nadi pot, and there's a new technology that they sell at Walgreens and CVS called Nafage. And that's the way to clean your nostrils, prevent sinus problem, infection in your nostrils. And you have to have that if you're going to be a real breather. You got to get your breathing mechanism. The ancients would say they wouldn't call your breathing your nose. They would call your breathing, they would call it your pyramid. And they would say your pyramid creates fire in the middle. So when you're breathing properly through your nostrils, you're creating fire in the diaphragm. And in the diaphragm, there's an area called the solar plexus. And the solar plexus, when you contract the diaphragm with the chest muscles, you create a compression in the diaphragm that starts to heat your blood up. And that's what's happening with the athletes when they're running. When you see LeBron James and Stephen Curry, and they're just sweating up a storm, they're stimulating that solar plexus, which is creating the heat. And when you create enough heat in the blood, microbes can't live. They can't live. That's why when the athletes were testing positive with the COVID, they were not creating symptoms. They would just test positive and they would quarantine them, and they would just come back after they finished quarantining them, but they didn't have symptoms. Now we're hearing about the long COVID. So the athletes who don't have the best breath, the long COVID will cause them to be out of commission for a longer time, just like seniors, just like people who don't have good breath. And so the last thing I wanted to say is our bodies have the ability to cleanse, to heal, and to rebuild itself indefinitely.
Y'all heard that before. Y'all heard that before.
You heard provide, that's right.
Cleanse, say it again.
Our bodies have the ability to cleanse, heal, and rebuild itself. Indefinitely providing we are treating it right. Providing we are regenerating the breath. Providing we are rebuilding and restoring our energy with the breath. So if you are not in a breath program, you cannot keep the body getting stronger. The body will get weaker. The body will get stiffer, and the energy will get weaker, and you will lose your electrical force. How do we know? We look at the elders who barely can get themselves up out of their beds, who can't get on the floor and get back up. Right. But those elders that we work with, their power come back. They can outbreathe the young people and tell their grandchildren, if you don't keep up, I'm gonna have to leave you. These were the elders who were on their canes. They're not on their canes anymore.
Dr. Happy, have you ever seen this? I'm trying to hold it so you can see it.
Let me see. Hold one moment. Let me hold one moment. Hold on. I'm gonna
Oh, it's
tell
like
you.
it's not a neti pot, but it's similar. What is
It's
that?
a
Yes,
it's a Himalayan salt inhaler.
yes,
Oh,
no, I
okay.
have not seen that. I have not. You have to show me
I
how
have
that works.
I use this because I have bad allergies and sinuses, and I was a childhood asthmatic. But what
Let
always helped me with breathing, and I'm listening
uh-huh,
to you talk because I'm really
uh-huh,
into metaphysical stuff. I played the
uh-huh.
clarinet for years. So I breathe,
Okay.
I always breathe from my diaphragm. But this, you inhale it
Uh-huh.
through your mouth,
Uh-huh.
breathe out through
Yes.
your nose. And it has Himalayan salt
Uh-huh.
in it to
Uh-huh.
help you actually breathe. Now,
Uh-huh.
I found a cheaper version at my local dollar store that has mint
Uh-huh.
in it.
Now wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold up. Hold up. I want everybody to get a piece of paper and get a pen. You're gonna have to tell them where this store is at.
This is
You have to tell them
at
where
your
this,
local. This is at your local Dollar Tree. Did y'all know the Dollar Tree? And I
where do
gave these.
you live? Where do you, I want you
I
to
live
get,
in northern. I live in Northern Virginia, and I tried to buy as
okay.
many as I could because I gave them
Okay,
to my
so
family.
okay, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. I want you to get 2 of them, and I want you to send them to Dr. Jones, one for her and one for me. I want you to get 2 of them
I'll do better than
because
that. I'll
I've
get
been
a
to the dollar
couple.
store. I've been to a dollar store. I have not seen what you're talking about at no dollar store. I've been to a couple of dollar stores for my glasses. I buy the $1 glasses at the dollar store, and I have not seen what you are talking about. Now, let me share this last thought on that. That was excellent. Was that you, Renee?
Christy.
Christy.
Christy, that was you? Now,
Mhm.
hold on, because I got to tell you this. I have a patient who had asthma like yourself, was very allergic to particles, spores in the air, and to cat dandruff. There is something that's called a Himalayan salt lamp.
I have that too.
Well, I need to talk about that too. I need to talk about that too, because you're on it. You are on it, Christy. You are on it. You and Dr. Jones are going to get an A+ for this seminar today because you all are on it. Let me say this about the Himalayan salt lamp. I had my patient get the Himalayan salt lamp, and it helped prevent her from having asthmatic attacks. The salt lamp, you turn the lamp on, and it put ionic sodium in the air. So
That's what
you're
this
breathing.
Himalayan salt inhaler also does to your lungs.
That's what it does. That's why you got to get 2 of them and send them to Dr. Jones.
I will give y'all the 2 that I bought today, and I'll get 2 more and send them to her. These are from
One.
my Dollar Tree, but you know it's $1.25, and I will
Okay.
send it to her. I will get her
I want you to
address.
send that to her first thing tomorrow. First thing, I want the first chance you get, I want you to stop at the PO and send it.
I'll put it in a bag. It will have to be noon because I work. I'm a
Okay,
working
afternoon
person.
there. Okay,
Yeah.
afternoon. I want you to send it. You have made this seminar. Everyone deserves to have one of those in their arsenal. This is part of your arsenal. The goal here is to get everyone arsenaled up. Who are we trying to arsenal up against? Say the hidden enemy. Who is that? COVID.
Yes.
Who is that?
COVID.
Pneumonia. Who is that? Flu. Who is that? Any of them other boogers that's trying to come and get us and take us out. Christy,
You're
you're
right.
getting me excited. Don't get me
You're
excited.
right.
I get loud when I get
And
excited.
because
Go ahead.
I actually want to become a student of people like you and Dr. Tate. When I retire, that's what I want to do.
Okay, well, before then, you become a student. As soon as you start stepping into my classes, like now, you a student right now. Give yourself, pat yourself on the back and say, I'm going to be one of Dr. Hapi's best students from what part of Virginia? Virginia itself?
I live in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Okay, is that around DC?
Yes, I live about 50 miles south of DC and 50 miles north of Richmond.
Well, when we come to DC, because we're gonna come there in the future, and we're gonna have a seminar, so you show up and show out. You be able to show them other
Yes.
people what's up. And when we have a seminar here, you come here because there's a lot to learn in this. There's a lot to learn. And you can be like Dr. Jones. She's only been hanging with me for just a couple of weeks. And she is outstanding. She's an A+ student.
Oh, thank you. But
You are, Dr. Jones.
Is.
I can't wait when you hit that third speed and you saying, Dr. Hapi, can we go a little faster? You're moving too slow, doctor. You're moving too slow. All right. All right. So now, are there any other questions? Did anybody learn anything from the Himalayan salt inhaler and the Himalayan lamp? Everyone should have one in their house and have it on, especially at night when you're sleeping.
Can you show that again? I didn't
Absolutely.
get a
Hold
picture of
on.
it.
Let me make
Thank
sure
you.
I can get it so it's not. Bear with me 1 minute. I'm gonna turn this up so that you can see it. I ordered this off of Amazon, and all of y'all are Amazon people because we always can you see it? You can get it in any color, but purple is my favorite.
and how does it work? I mean, is it
All I do is this is what I do.
oh you inhale. Okay.
Inhale it through his
this
mouth
has-
and exhale through her nose.
No, I have put the Himalayan salt is in the inside. And after so much time, you have to take this out and put more Himalayan salt inside of it. I don't know if y'all can see. Can y'all see the bottom of it?
Mhm.
I want to.
And what's it called? A Himalayan salt now? Or
It's called this is
inhaler.
inhaler?
inhaler. This is by Nevlers, Nevlers. I'm gonna try to send a picture, Dr. Blessman. I sent you the picture on your phone.
I got it. Thank you.
One of them. Can y'all see the bottom of it? You see, there's like a little stopper. I put the salt in there. The little stopper.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
And you got this
Himalayan
from the
salt.
dollar store?
No. I didn't get that from the dollar store.
Oh, I didn't think so.
I got that from Amazon.
Amazon,
This is
okay.
what I got from the dollar store that is called a Salt Range Himalayan Pink Salt Nasal Inhaler.
Mhm.
Here with me on my iPad, and it's like the camera is not the same as on my computer. I'll see this one. Okay. Trying to get it focused. There we go.
Okay, so a salt inhaler. Okay, got it.
Can y'all see this? I paid $125. It's mint on it, and I'm gonna it has mint oil in it, natural oil, and I had one of these for years, and I use it when my nasal cavity is stopped up, and it helps me.
Christy, hold it back a little bit, closer to your face. Hold it close to your face. There you go. A little, little over
Oh.
towards you.
There you go, right there.
Yep. We
see it.
Uh-oh.
cover
Yeah,
up that
right
beautiful
there, right
face.
there, right there,
Yep.
right there. Uh-oh. Back. Right there. Stop. There you go.
I want to see what y'all see.
I don't see anything.
I don't see it.
Patricia, we lost her.
I'm
We lost
still
her.
here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now-
now I see. Thank you.
Now, Christina, the other thing that you had that you got that looked like the neti pot that you pull into your mouth, you got that in Amazon?
Yes, I see it. It's the Nevlers
And what is
Himalayan
that
salt
called?
inhaler.
Himalayan salt inhaler.
And it's pretty in purple.
My favorite color, Dr. Blessman. When you come to this part, I'll bring you to my house. My house is covered in purple.
You know, that's the That's the color of royalty. You know that, right?
Right.
Am.
That's right.
Well, it comes in a nice blue too for those who like blue.
You can get it in any color. I think you can get it in pink, Dr. Blessman. I know you're a pink and green woman. You can get it in blue. You can get it in yellow, green, whatever color you want it in.
Okay.
And it comes with the packs of salt. You can buy the salt to replace it, or you can get the salt from the grocery store because that's the same Himalayan salt that's in it.
I put the link for the Himalaya Pink Salt Nasal Inhaler Cooling Natural Mint from the dollar store. If anyone wants to grab that link.
Oh, it's
the only thing about that link, Michelle, you're gonna have to buy a whole box of them when you do the Dollar Tree.
Quantity, yep, the quantity. But now you know what it
Well,
looks like.
just send 21. Just send enough for everybody on the call.
I'm gonna see how many I can get, and I will send some to Dr. Blessman for y'all in Chicago.
And then we'll have everybody reimburse you. Now the thing from the Amazon was called what now?
Called Nevler's Himalayan Salt
Inhaler.
Spell that N-E?
L-E-R-S.
N-E-V.
R-S. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
L-O-R-S. Okay.
See.
Nevler's Himalayan
Inhaler.
Okay, you put it Himalayan inhaler. Okay. You're putting it in the chat. Okay, let's see. Let me check the chat. Okay, I see it. Is anybody learning anything on this call?
Oh,
look,
yeah.
They say it does a lot of things. Like,
hold on, Dr. Blessing. Lizzie, I thought you had your hand up.
No, I didn't have my hand up.
No, Lizzie.
I did have a quick question. Dr. Hapi, thank you. First of all, this has been phenomenal. But my question is, how do you prevent yourself from hyperventilating when you're doing all those rapid breaths?
That is such a great question. Let me answer it. You are not just working on improving your breathing. You are working on improving your sympathetic nervous system. In improving your sympathetic nervous system, you are working on improving your cardio efficiency of your heart. So when we start with people have different levels where their heart has already weakened. Mm-hmm. There are people that when we start, particularly when we talk about the elders, that in 3 breaths, they could have a heart attack. So this breath that you heard me do is not the first breath we do. We do a breath before then called the 10 breaths. And those 10 breaths allow us to evaluate where the person's heart is, where's the person's sympathetic nervous system is. So there is a class that I was teaching to elders. And in this class, which was taught at the Kroc Center, which was here in Chicago on the South Side, we had the elders who were in the worst shape. And we would have them do 3 breaths. And in those 3 breaths, we would ask them to raise their hand if they were dizzy, because it told us how weak their heart was. When we started, a lot of them were raising their hands. Within 3 breaths, they could have a heart attack. We had them come to class every Monday and Thursday. In every class, we added a breath. Now, fast forward. We're 6 months in and they're running 200 breaths. Wow. And now they're starting to breathe a little faster.
More breaths than I can do right now.
We are improving the sympathetic nervous system and we are improving the heart. Mm-hmm. So now we ask, who's dizzy with our students who were coming to the class every Monday and Thursday? So they would lean to the side, keeps their arm closed, and not raise their arm because they were not dizzy because their heart was getting stronger. Well, how else could we tell? We could tell because they were moving faster. They would have to bring their chair and put it on the floor and then do the exercise sitting down where it was not overexerting to them. And then they would have to pick their chair up and take it back and put it on the rack. So it's in the sympathetic that we're improving the sympathetic nervous system. Now look at it like this. What do you see when you see an athlete that can run the 40-yard dash? You see an athlete who's breathing fast, whose heart is in top condition. That's where we bring the athletes, that's where we bring the elders back to. Now, imagine an elder whose blood pressure is 230 over 130, and the elder has what's called malignant hypertension, which means your heart is so weak that you could have a stroke very easily. And this elder had a stroke, and that was 230 over 130 on meds. They could not get it any lower on meds. And we took that client into this program, and now that client runs 4,000 breaths, blood pressure 110 over 70 without medication.
That's amazing.
So what I'm saying that it is systems that are breaking down. Sympathetic nervous system is breaking down. Your heart is breaking down because your electrical force that the breath creates is breaking down. Over time, your electrical force gets stronger, your heart gets stronger, your nervous system, sympathetic gets strong, and you can breathe faster. Whenever you go see the doctor, they only have you breathe one time and they have you cough. That is because in 3 breaths, a person could have a stroke in their office. So they minimize lawsuits by having you only breathe one time.
That's the truth.
So in what I do, because my first specialty is that I am a master of the breath, not someone who is a pulmonary specialist. I'm not someone who finds a person having breathing problems and put them on a respiratory breathing machine. I am a person who has learned the secrets of the breath to a fine-tuned level. So I've never had no one stroke on me. I've never had no one have a problem with me. And I work with asthma. We teach the person how to breathe to get rid of asthma. We teach the person how to breathe to get rid of high blood pressure, how to get rid of the problems that's breaking down because the breath is getting weak. That's why the heart is moving faster to get them oxygen, because the breathing apparatus is getting weak. I hope that answers the question.
No, that's terrific. Thank you so much.
All right.
And
Were there
now
any
you
other
can-
questions?
Yeah.
Were there any other questions? Was I able to answer some other questions? Are there any other questions?
Doc, that is awesome. That is so awesome. I mean, I just wish that so many of our elderly people in the Black community could be exposed to that, because that truly would turn back the clock for them to help them with their high blood pressure.
For all of us, actually, because if you think
Oh
about,
yeah,
when we started talking about COVID and return to health, one of the things we discussed was, some of these chronic illnesses, we have to get rid of them. And that would turn back the hands of time for a lot of us. So high blood pressure, asthma. What was the,
problems with any kind of breathing, any kind of
probably
breathing,
COPD.
all of that. But here's the problem. COPD and influenza, they have damaged their lungs tremendously. So let me share with you a story. But time is running out. Time is pretty much ran out. But let me just share this last story with you. I had a patient who was overweight, and the patient came into my office one day, and the patient was in the process of having a heart attack. So they were cold and climby, and they were sweating, and they were getting pale. So I told him, I said, you're in bad trouble. You're in bad trouble. You need to go to Mayo. They were a very wealthy person. You need to go to Mayo and get a thorough workup. They went to Mayo. Mayo put a pacemaker in their heart. And Mayo told them they have to change the diet and become a vegetarian. So when they came back, they could not walk 8 steps without being out of breath. And then they would walk another 8 steps, be out of breath, and walk another 8 steps. It took them 10 minutes to get down into my office from the street.
Wow.
I took them into this program. We call it ANCAR 2000. It stands for 2000 breaths. When we first started with them, the doctor said, take it easy, sit in the lounge chair, and don't exert yourself because you could have a heart attack because you could go AFib. We started working with them. They now run 4,000 breaths. They lost 150 pounds. They're 190 pounds. They were 350. They're 190 pounds, and they can run 4,000 breaths at 4 speeds that you heard me breathing. They walk miles. They take an airplane trip to London with their whole family. They fly down to Boca Raton where their mother lives, 40,000 feet up, and not straining and breathing. So those who have influenza and those who have COPD, they have to be very, very serious with their diet. Because if they're eating an acidic diet, that's affecting their breathing to a great degree, as I started in talking in this lecture about acid alkaline and how it can take your breath away, how it can set you up for the microbes to come and get you. If your body is too acidic, you're going to get pneumonia. You're going to get the flu. You're going to get, if not COVID, some other kind of respiratory system problem to take you out, to end your life.
Miss Bellier, yes, doctor, I'm sorry.
So for the next month, can you all tell all your friends that you love to be on this call, on this Zoom call, so we can save some more people? Can you all do that? Only invite the people you love. Don't invite the people you hate now. Don't invite them.
So, Dr. Happy, did you ever encounter Dr. Sebi? Because you know he talked to everybody about the alkaline diet.
Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you, and I won't take this long because time is of the hour. Dr. Sebi, I brought to Chicago. His first lecture, I was there moderating his lecture in Chicago. And what the herbs that he had worked very well. But here's the downside of that. When Dr. Sebi was arrested in Honduras for bringing, they said he brought over 10,000. And when you travel, you can't travel more than 10,000. He had 20,000. They put him in jail. One of the problems was Dr. Sebi was underweight. He fasted a lot. And when you're underweight, it doesn't take much for the microbes to come get you, because you don't have any reserve to lose weight. You don't have any reserves. That's why when a person gets cancer, you see them waste away. They call it cascasia. It's called cascasia. They waste away. If they're not getting this breath on, they're not charging the electrical force. So he started fasting in the jails. But the problem was he didn't know this breath. If he had known this breath, he would have been energizing. Instead of his breath getting weaker, and he died from pneumonia.
Yes, he did.
He didn't have the nutrients of the herbs, but he would have had the breath to fall back on. That's why when we do this breathing, especially if we're fasting, our energy gets up. So don't get me started. We be feeling so vital. There is a term, it's called the breatharian. I want you all to drop that in your notes. Breatharian is where we're headed. When you get older and you are deep in this breath, when you fast, when you're not eating that day and you're drinking liquids, by the end of the day, you're feeling so pumped. You talk about sympathetic, you are charging that sympathetic nervous system up so tough. You're like an athlete in the gym. You're like on speed with the bicycle. You working it so tough. So now I end with this thought. Breath is the primordial. It is the beginning. It is the end. It is the most important system in the body. If you are not charging this breath up, you cannot be more vitalized. This is why you take somebody like Dick Gregory, when he was running and he was fasting. He said, I'm fasting 70 days. Well, what you saw was him out there running 70 days. And each day he was running, he was working the breath. And we saw him energized. But we don't have to be out there running. All we have to do is work this breath, but you have to be under our guidance. That's why we would not tell you to be doing the breath with the fourth speed standing up or doing the breath with the fourth speed. We don't start with the fourth speed. You will hyperventilate. You start with the breath that is gentle, the easiest, the beginning. You might only do one breath and then you stop. And then you take another slow breath and then you take another. We say, are you dizzy? And by you telling us, you already telling us where your heart is, how weak it is, and how you could have a stroke, and how we gotta gently bring you into restoring your heart, restoring your sympathetic nervous system. The baby built his systems. He built his heart. He built his sympathetic. He built his parasympathetic. He built his other organs. And what did we see? The terrible 2 and 3. And so what I'm saying, we have the opportunity to be the terrible 40, the terrible 50, the terrible 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. And that's us breathing like that 12-year-old doing the jump in the double Dutch, hanging to the triple Dutch, and doing it for an hour and saying, can we go further and not lose power and not pass out and not hyperventilate? So what I'm saying, and I'm going to end with this, the potential that we have, God is waiting upon us to use it. And in that potential is this breath that God gave us, that God is waiting for us to get the rest of it, that we didn't get when we were 12 years old, we didn't get when we were 25, and we are now losing it, and so are all of our friends and family. And it is up to those of us who get it to then start sharing with the others to say, come and hang with me, because I'm doing something over here that's super. And it's real easy to step into. We're not asking everybody to change their diet overnight, nor are we asking them to be vegetarians. We're asking them to start with this breath first. And as they feel themselves being able to feel better, like my seniors who only came and sat in chairs, and we saw them get better to the point that we saw them come off their canes and move faster and breathe eventually with the fourth speed, where their breath became long, slow, deep, and strong. That all of us can do this, and God is waiting. So with that, are there any other questions?
That is powerful, Dr. Hapi. I mean, I'm sitting here in my head saying, Ashe, Ashe, yes, I'm gonna get there with my breath. You gave me so much in the community to think about and to read, and I'm looking forward to your next
Presentation,
lecture.
yeah.
Yes. So do we have a
Spread the word now. Don't forget to share it. Spread the word. Don't just show up by yourself.
I won't. Do we have a date, Dr. Blessman?
We do not as of yet, but I will get with Dr. Hapi and we will, in fact, I'll see him tomorrow. So we'll figure out what the date in May is going to be. And we will make sure that we let everybody know, the community know as soon as possible. I think we can probably do that tomorrow, correct? Because I come to see you tomorrow.
Yes, Dr.
Yes.
Blessman, yes.
All right.
I know that
Right.
Sister Belvedere had a question. Is it a long one? Because Dr. Hapi can go.
Greetings, everybody.
About his art, his craft, his knowledge, his wisdom, and the sharing. I'm excited. I feel it. I'm energized by the information. I'm going to have to watch the presentation, the webcast again. But Ms. Belvedere, your hand.
Hi, I didn't have a question. I wanted to to thank Dr. Hapi for being here and sharing all his knowledge with us, because right now I feel like I have a special key to longevity
Yes.
that I
Yes,
didn't
you
have.
do. You do have a special key.
Yes.
You got two of them. We're going to talk about that on the next session.
I am so
Two
excited.
special keys.
Thank you so much.
Well, family, you can actually catch this webcast on Facebook if you need to see it again. Or you can wait for me with the turtle move and get the video. I'll try to honor your request as soon as possible, because this was a great, great session. Let me go ahead and stop the Facebook Live.
I want to thank all of you all. I want to thank you for your participation, but more than that, I want to thank you for your interest. I want to thank you all to hear this and to know that with the incurable disease, and I would have been dead 23 years ago, that God touched me. And God said, I got some business for you. You don't have enough business. I got some serious business for you, and I'm gonna make you one of my messengers.
Yes.
And I want you to be real serious about this, because we have a lot of people we have to rescue and make them heroes and sheroes of themselves.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I took this sincerely.
Absolutely.
I took it sincerely, and God opened the doors and let me in on the secrets. And that's what I am anxious and excited about sharing with you all. And everyone you know who deserve to be healthy and well. We say those terms so easily. How do you feel? I feel fine. And then we look up and you're on, in the same breath, you're on 5 to 13 medications.
Yeah.
We can't feel fine if we're sick. And we
Right.
can't have vital breath if we're sick.
Right.
So that's why I say God is waiting, because God is the one that can take us off those medications, get this breath back, and get us vital, like that 12-year-old girl again that jumped work in the double dutch and didn't even think about jumping the work, jumping the rope. And so all of us deserve this. So thank you for participating. Give yourselves a round of applause
Yes.
for
Yes.
participating.
Thank you.
Happy. I definitely want to know if you do anything by way of virtual classes, but you don't have to tell us now. We'll definitely get that information from you. This is great, Dr. Hapi. I will be spreading the word. You gave me so much material to work through the marketing piece for our next session. For our community, we're going to dive into all of this information. You know, Dr. Blessing is going to dissect it. And
Yes.
we're going to start with the breathing next Tuesday. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited. For those of you who want to participate in the senior project, it's coming together well. It's a beautiful project. If you want to give some input on it, join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's late, family. I'm not going to hold us. If you want to go through the chat and get the links out of there, thank you again, Dr. Hapi, for your service to our people and our seniors and making us better, giving us that good information. I enjoyed it. I know my community enjoyed it too. And I normally just go ahead and play us out with some inspirational music. Yes.
I have a question. How soon, Dr. Hoppy, so someone thought after they had heart surgery? I had an aunt that had open heart surgery in her 80s. How long should she wait to start this breathing?
Can you get that in an email and we can get it to Dr. Hapi?
I'm in Mexico. It's hard for me to send you right now.
Oh, will you be back soon? Will you be coming back soon?
Yes.
So
this is Renee, I believe.
Yes,
Renee,
Sister Renee, as
are you
soon as you come back, you send Dr. Jones the email and she'll get it to me and I'll correspond with you so that we can start working on you, helping that, getting you back. We're working with a patient right now who had a stroke, and in 7 weeks he's up and about after 2 years. being
Incredible.
paralyzed for 2 years.
Well, there you
They
go.
was
I
gonna
know.
drop him in a nursing home. They was gonna drop him in a nursing home and let him fade away like that.
And that's, and you know, we're going to have that social justice conversation, Dr. Hapi, with our community, because these are all true. Because what you shared with us is just completely eye-opening. Like, I need to go in here and tell my mama she needs to sit up and breathe.
That's right.
So
She can lay down and breathe too, though. She
yeah,
can lay
lay
down and
too,
breathe.
but I just need her to breathe, right?
That's right.
So I'm looking.
That's right.
And I am so glad that we have you as our clinician to help us live. And I know for a fact that you're going to get back to Renee on her question. Renee, enjoy your vacation. We have the
Yes.
doctor in the house, and he's going to
Yes,
get that
doctor's in the
question
house.
answered for
Doctor
you.
is in
So
the
no
house.
worries. Enjoy your stay.
Yes,
Look.
enjoy your vacation, but don't overdo it, Renee. Don't overexert
There you
yourself.
go. Amen. Ashe. Dr. Blessing, I'm going to go ahead and play us out because we can be here like church for the next few more hours. Hi, Dr. Hapi.
Absolutely. Good
All
night,
right. God
everyone.
bless all
Thank
of
you
you
for
all.
coming.
Good
Have a
night.
wonderful evening.
Good
Be
night.
blessed.
Thank you, Delana. Thank you,
Good night.
Thanks
Sandra.
again.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Christy.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You're
Good
welcome.
night.
Good night.
And good night.
See you next month.
Okay.
Can't
Absolutely.
wait. Look forward to it.
Living water for eternal life.